Hello, my name is Artin. I make beats and sound design videos, and today I want to talk to you about the Donner B1, which is a fully analog mono synthesizer that you can pick up for around 120 bucks. Now, before I get into what this beautiful device can do, I do want to let you know Donner sent this over for review, which is in no way going to impact how honest I am in my review and the criticisms that I have for this device, which I do have. With that, let's get straight into it. Instead of just telling you all the different parameters on this device, first we're going to start off with a demo so you can hear what it sounds like. I have a little 4-note loop here programmed, and I have my Syntact off camera with a very simple drum beat, and I'll show you what this thing can do and how you can kind of perform with it. And there you go. That's just 4 notes. I know it wasn't the most complicated loop that you've probably ever heard, but this thing is surprisingly very good for performances, and with the parameters that you do have access to, you can do a lot. Now with that, let's get right into what the sound design capabilities of this beast are, then we'll dive into the sequencer and the little effects that you get within the sequencer. Starting off with the sound design parameters, you are quite limited, which I think is actually a good thing because it leaves less room for overthinking stuff, which I tend to do a lot. Getting into the parameters, you have the pitch knob. This is a single oscillator synth, by the way. You can put that single oscillator up or down 7 semitones or a fifth. I do wish this was an octave. I don't like that it's only a fifth, but I'll take what I can get. All right. You do have 2 waves at your disposal, a square or a sawtooth. You have this filter section with the cutoff, the resonance, and the envelope depth for the filter. And then you have a dual amp and filter envelope decay. This accent knob controls how loud accent notes are, which I'll get into when we start talking about the sequencer. And then you have 2 effects on the bottom here, which you can turn on or off using these switches right here. You have a saturation effect, which I think sounds quite nice. You have a drive parameter, which makes everything sound more gritty, and then a tone parameter, which acts like a filter for the saturation. If we turn this on, and I'm going to turn the drive all the way up, you can see that's kind of aggressive. If we turn the tone all the way up, it's going to get even more aggressive and airy, less bassy. If we turn the tone down, you can hear that it sounds like it has a low-pass filter applied to it. We also have a delay, which I thought was quite unique on something that is in this price range. You rarely get effects, let alone 2. So this is a send delay. You can turn up the level. You have a time parameter, which goes up to what feels like half a second to me, all the way up to very, very fast. And you get a feedback knob that does not make you go deaf. All right. You have a master volume control here. You can sync up some modular gear if you'd like, using the sync in and the sync out. On the back panel, you have a main out, which is a mono out. You have MIDI in, MIDI out, a USB-C connector, obviously the power supply, and an on-off switch. Overall, it's an extremely simple synthesizer that is very difficult to use poorly. With that, let me talk to you about what this sequencer can do. To activate the sequencer, we are going to press the record/edit button up here. Then we can hold the clear/rest button, and it will clear out our sequence. As we enter notes, our sequence will start having notes saved into it, and then if we exit record/edit mode and press play, our sequence will play back. If we want to continue editing it, we just go back into record/edit mode. We can clear this out and start over if we want, and If we want to add rests, we just tap the clear/rest button and it will add rests. And what you can do is store up to 16 notes in a pattern, and you can store up to 128 patterns on this device. Now the Donner B1 does come with a pattern sequencing software, so if you don't want to sequence on the device, which I actually think is very easy to do, you could use the sequencer software to sequence the pattern and then load it onto the device. You can also use that to extract patterns that you have on this device and save them to use later on if you're running up against that 128 pattern limitation. Moving on, you can change the tempo by pressing the tempo tap button. If you press it once, it will flash, and then you can use the up or down arrow to change the tempo and really dial it in. You can also just tap this button and it will put the tap tempo in there. You do get a few pattern effects on the device. First, you have the gate length, which again, you need to be in the record/edit mode to access these pattern effects. And if you press it, you'll see this is a 4. If you turn this up, it is going to turn up the amount of time that the note lasts. If you turn it down, it is going to turn down how long the note lasts. At 0, it will be silence. The way that you choose which note to apply to an effect is by navigating through these notes using the up or down arrow keys, and then you can choose to apply an effect on a specific note that is blinking. Okay, so if we apply the accent effect, it is going to make our note sound louder or less loud based on what we set this accent level to. So you can add some variation to volume using this. You can also add a ratchet effect, which will essentially play back the note very rapidly up to 4 times. And if you just hold the ratchet and you use the up or down arrow keys, you can set how many ratchets to do when that note plays. You can get some grittiness, you can get some more interesting textures this way. And lastly, we have the slide effect, which lets you do a portamento style effect where you can slide between notes and it will just play legato and kind of go up or down depending on the pitch that you're selecting, or you can use it to extend notes. Let me show you what I mean. We want to do the portamento style effect and we have a couple different notes here. We can add the slide starting from the first note, add it to the second note, the third note, and we're going to leave the fourth one blank. Now you'll have a sliding effect for these 4 steps. You can also go into record/edit mode and use this to extend notes. So I've recorded 2 different notes playing 4 steps each. If we don't add a slide, this is what it's going to sound like. Now if we go into record/edit mode, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add a slide to the first, second, and third notes. We're going to leave the fourth one blank. Then we're going to move on to the 5th one, add a slide to the 5, 6, and 7. And now you'll have the notes last for a longer time so that you're not just limited to 16th notes. Aside from that, we do have an arpeggiator, which if we turned on and start playing some notes, it is going to arpeggiate them, and then if you press hold, it will hold the notes. The arpeggiator also has 8 different modes that you can cycle through using the up or down arrow keys here. One cool thing with the sequencer effects is you can use them live to change up your pattern on the fly. Let me show you what I mean. If we have this pattern playing, and I press and hold the gate length, it's going to change the gate length for the notes that are playing at that time. Same thing with the accent, the ratchet, and slides. You can use these in real time to add a performance factor to the pattern that you are playing. And obviously you can twist all these knobs while you are pressing these buttons, which will make things even more dynamic. So overall, what do I think of the Donner B1? I think it's great. It's affordable, it sounds wonderful, it's pretty straightforward to use once you get the hang of the step sequencer, and it's a lot of fun to jam out with. Now what sucks is there is no pattern chaining. Obviously you're limited to 1 bar patterns at a time, and you can hold a maximum of 128 bars worth of patterns, which can make it a little challenging to use this in a hardware setup, especially because you have to flip through the patterns yourself. With that being said, I love it. It just sounds really good to me. It's very easy to use, and it's very fun to jam with it while using the Syntact as my little drum machine in the background. For me, overall, it's a 10 out of 10. I don't think anything can beat the price to fun factor ratio this thing offers. If you enjoyed that, would really appreciate a like and a subscribe. Also, check out the Donner B1 and purchase one for yourself if you like how it sounded. With that, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.